Welcome to Feel Your Way to Better Golf. That's Wally Armstrong, a veteran of over 300 PGA Tour events, including 7 U.S. Opens, 4 PGA Championships, and 2 Masters.
Oh! Nearly in the hole on the fly, and so he's no means out of it.
Wally received All-American recognition at the University of Florida, and today is recognized as one of golf's finest teachers and educators. Let's watch him.
Nice work, Wally lad. That's 4 under for Wally Armstrong.
Hi, I'm Wally Armstrong, and welcome to Feel Your Way to Better Golf. This is going to be a real unique tape in that we're not going to do it like other tapes. Most tapes that you watch today talk a lot about mechanics. They talk about put your hands in this position, put your feet in this position, and many times when you try to go out and do these things, you suffer from analysis paralysis, trying to figure out all the angles. On this tape, we're going to use some real unique ways in teaching the game of golf. We're going to talk about how the swing feels as you make that swing into the ball. You can see I'm using a number of different props. A football, a mop, yardsticks, a broom, an umbrella, even a bow and arrow. I'm going to use these props to really zero in on what the golf swing feels like. I'm going to paint a picture in your mind of what the swing should feel like. You know the old saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's what I want to do, is paint a picture of what it looks like from your point of view, rather than from the camera's point of view. I'm going to put a camera right over my shoulder so you can look down and see what it looks like and pick up that feel, the feel of the golf swing. Why play by feel? Because feel is the thing that all great players depend on when they get under the pressure. Players from Bobby Jones to Sam Snead to Jack Nicklaus, feel is what carries them through to victory. And many times if you think about mechanics, you freeze at the ball, you're all tense, and you just can't let that swing happen. You're trying to make it happen. But when you play by feel, the swing just naturally goes back and through in the direction of the target. You're allowing it to happen rather than trying to make it happen. And that's what this tape's going to be all about. So let's get going. In this tape, we're going to talk a lot about imitation. We're going to have you actually turn off your VCR and do these things right along with me to get the feel of how golf is similar to other sports, just like baseball. It's like tennis. Or it's like skipping a rock on a lake. No one ever taught you how to skip a rock. You just picked it up by imitation. Back and through, a flow of motion. Now if you try to think, how am I going to skip this rock and get mechanically involved with it, you're just not going to be able to do it. It's a simple flow of motion, back and through, skipping it on a lake. That's what we want to try to do in this tape, is teach that flow of movement, back and through to a target. Of course in golf, we use 2 arms to swing back and through. And there's a pulling motion and a skipping motion through the ball. And now we're going to get into the 3 focuses in this tape. The grip, how we hold the club, the stance and posture, alignment to the target, and then the swing. So let's get going.
The 3 main focuses of Feel Your Way to Better Golf are color-coded to allow you to more easily find individual sections when reviewing this tape. All fundamentals and drills in the grip section are titled with a blue background.
Ben Hogan once said that the grip is the heartbeat of the golf swing. It's the only connection between the club and your body. I'm going to use a yardstick to give you the correct feel of a good grip in golf. Now put your VCR on pause right now and go get a yardstick or a ruler. I'll wait for you. Now that you've got your yardstick, place it down in your fingers and roll your hands together. You should feel that the yardstick makes your hands face each other and they also work together as a unit. It's very difficult to put your hands on in an incorrect position. This would be incorrect, and this feels very awkward. The yardstick forces you to have the feel of your hands facing each other. Now that we've examined what a good grip should feel like, I'm going to show you how to put your hands on a golf club correctly. Far too often in golf, I see people with the wrong grips. Grips that are open, are unbalanced. Many times I see the finger down the shaft or the thumb on the side of the shaft. But I want to show you how you should get the correct feel and how the hand should be positioned on the club correctly. And to do this, I'm going to use this little practice club, and I'm going to use a magic marker to draw on my glove to show you the correct position to place your club. Now with this blue marker, I'm going to show you that in the left hand, which is really the stabilizing hand in the golf swing, the club should be placed across the lower part of your hand in this position so that the club is put down in the fingers, just like that. You should feel that club down in your fingers, and then the hand rolls on top of the club. Be sure that the pad on the top of your left hand, this little pad right here, stays on top of the club and not on the side. The club is placed down in the fingers, diagonally across, and then the hand rolls on top with the pad of the left hand on the top of the shaft. When you look down at the grip, you should see that the V formed by the thumb and the forefinger of the left hand points towards your right shoulder. Also, as you look down on the left hand grip, you should be able to see the top of two knuckles. How does that look? And now let's get into the placing of the right hand on the club. The right hand comes into the club in the fingers. They fit snugly up against the left, and then they roll together over on top of the left hand. The thumb of the left hand fits right in this little pad here, this little pocket here that's formed by the right hand, and the right hand rolls on top of the club. The V of the right hand points in the same direction as the V of the left hand. And you can see that the V formed by my thumb and forefinger of my right hand points in the direction of my right shoulder also. As the hand slides together, there are three basic ways and three basic grips in golf. The first is the 10-finger grip, or the baseball grip, and that's where the right hand just slips up against the left hand. Then there's the interlock, and that's where the forefinger of the left and the little finger of the right interlock, locking the hands together into a unit. And lastly is the overlap, where the little finger of the right laps over the forefinger of the left. This is the most commonly used grip by golfers today. Experiment with these three grips to see which one feels the best for you. Before we finish the grip section, I want to give you one more picture of what the correct grip should look like. Be sure that the thumb and forefinger on both hands are tightly together and not spread apart. One final note about grip pressure. Don't grip the club too tightly, as if you're going to strangle it, but keep a nice, firm, and even grip on the club. Of course, you don't want to grip it too light so that when you swing, uh-oh. But seriously, the pressure with both hands should be even. Remember, don't grip too tight and don't grip too light.
All fundamentals and drills in the setup section are titled with a red background.
Now let's move on to our second focus, the correct setup. How to line up our body, the club, and the ball to our target, how to get that flow of motion back and through in the direction of the target to knock it right up there by the pin. Just like this. You know, every sport there's a ready position, such as basketball. You know, a guard in basketball has got to stay on the balls of his feet. He's got to be able to move and defend those guys as they come into the basket. Same way in football. A linebacker in football has got to have balance. He's got to be able to move and tackle those guys when they come through the line. And golf is no different. We have to establish a good foundation, a good base, in order to move back and through to knock that ball right up by the pin. Now, to achieve that ready position in golf, here's what we've got to do. In golf, we've got to have a good posture. We've got to have good balance. And it's very important that you take a position where you're well balanced on your feet. Extend the club out in front of your body in this way, and then just lower it down to where your left arm touches your chest. Then bow to the ball from the waist, adjusting your stance so that the club is behind the ball. Your knees are straight at this point. Crack them just a hair and be relaxed. Feel like the weight of your body is towards the balls of your feet. Don't sit way back on your heels, which is a common fault. But get your knees up straight, crack them just a little bit, and feel like you're balanced, ready to spring back and through the ball. The arms should hang freely from the shoulder. Keep your chin up, not way down, which would inhibit a nice free-flowing swing. The chin should be up. The arms are hanging nice and relaxed down from the shoulders. Counterbalance your weight by sticking out the back of your lap in this position. The back stays fairly straight. The arms hang. The weight of the club is down in your fingers, and you're in a perfect position to create that flow of movement back and through the ball, just like this. And that's the right way to have that perfect posture every time. In 11 years on the PGA Tour, I've seen some pretty poor postures. Just to show you a few of them. There's the guy that stands in way too close to the ball, and he gets trapped where he can't even get the club back. And then there's the one that stands way out of the way, and his arms are so far away from his body that he swings around like a baseball player. There's no way he's ever going to hit that ball correctly. Also, there's the old squatter. He's so far back on his heels that there's no way he can make a correct swing back and through in the direction of the target. Be sure that you have good balance when you make your swing, just like in other sports. Be on the balls of your feet. Feel like you're kind of dancing as you address the ball. You should be able to kind of tap your heels up and down like this. Feel that balance as you address the ball. This is a good drill to help you feel where the weight should be distributed at address. Now that I've talked about what the posture should look like, I want to teach you just what it should feel like. When you address the ball, you should be springy. You should be on the balls of your feet, alive. Your arms should be hanging nice and relaxed, ready to move back and through and produce that flow of motion, just like this. Now we're going to talk about alignment. How to line yourself up with the target, which is what golf's really all about. Taking that ball and knocking it right up to the target. To do this, I'm going to use these two parallel lines. When you're lining up, come from behind the ball, like I'm doing. Draw an imaginary line in your mind from the pin and back through the ball. Walk into that line from behind and place the club behind the ball, facing towards your target, and then line up your feet parallel and left to that target line, like the yellow tape. Your knees should be parallel, your hips, and your shoulders. Now I'm correctly lined up to make my swing back and through in the direction of the target. Just like that. Now here's some of the extremes that you want to keep from doing. Don't get your stance too closed, aimed out to the right. And don't get it too open, aimed out to the left. Also, be sure that the shoulders are parallel and left of your target. The shoulders can also be put in the wrong position if they're this way or this way. Alignment is key to hitting that golf ball to the desired target. Be sure that the feet, knees, hips, and shoulders are parallel to your target line and left. Here's one way you could practice this the next time you're out on the practice tee. Take a club and lay it down in line with your target, just like this. This is one thing that all the touring pros do, and I used this for years as I practiced getting ready for tournaments. Lay the club, point it right at your target, and then take another club and lay it parallel to your target line. Then take a ball and put it just like that. This will give you a good sense of how to line up the face and the feet in parallel lines, just like that. Then as you make your swing, you'll have a good feeling for the direction to hit the golf ball. Be sure that when you put the club face down behind the ball in the direction of your target, that it's square to the target line and not open and not closed to the target line, but that the face is always square, just like that, to the target line. Now here's what it should look like from your point of view. See how nice and square the face is to the target line? That's closed. And this is way too open. Be sure to keep the face nice and square to your target line. Of course, out on the golf course, we don't have these beautiful colored lines like this to show us the correct alignment. So what we use is spot alignment. Pick a spot on your target line 2 or 3 feet in front of the ball, and in this instance I'm using this little tuft of grass out in front of the ball. Come into the ball and line the face up behind the ball with this tuft of grass. Then take my stance parallel to this line. You can see that I'm right on line, ready to make that swing right at the target. I think that one's going in the hole. All right! Before we get into our third focus, I want to cover one thing that's very important, and that's called the waggle in golf. All the great players have it because it really sets up for the feel of the backswing and the downswing and through to the direction of the target. A waggle is simply staying loose over the ball. You may want to do your little heel tap drill that we talked about in the setup. The hands just kind of make a little cocking motion and a recocking motion. You want to feel the path of the swing going back. Stay nice and relaxed over the ball. There shouldn't be any tension in your forearms, and your hands should feel the weight of the club hanging down. You should feel the weight of the head behind the ball. Stay relaxed, waggle, and this really gets us into the next focus, and that's the swinging of the club back and through the ball. So here we go.
All fundamentals and drills in the swing section are titled with a green background.
We're ready now to look at the golf swing, and I'm going to show you exactly what it should look like, and you're going to feel it right along with me. Now, the golf swing is a circular motion, the kind of motion that we were talking about when I skipped a rock and when I threw a baseball. The club swings around the body and through in the direction of the target. It's a free-flowing motion, back and through. Now, the shoulders turn around the fixed axis, which is your spine. I'm going to start with the club up like this, with my back up straight, and make a swing around my body. You can see that my hands are nice and relaxed, and the club is swinging around my body. Now I'm going to go into the posture that we talked about earlier in the tape. I'm going to start bending my back down as I swing the club. You can see my knees are flexing a little bit, my shoulders are turning around the axis of my spine. As I bend down, I'm going to stick the back of my lap out. My back stays straight. Down a little lower now. Now what's missing? Well, you guessed it. The shoulder needs to be tilted. As I tilt my right shoulder down now, watch what happens to the club. You can see I'm starting to brush the grass. I keep that angle of my back. My shoulders continue to turn around my spine, and the club just naturally comes down and brushes the grass. Now you can really see why posture is so important. The common problem that I see is the shoulders stay too parallel to the ground. You've got to have this tilt, and you've also got to have the tilt in the back of the lap out, a little cup in the back, in order to make that swing back and through to make a consistent swing. The swing truly is a circular motion around a fixed axis. And that's what I'm going to show you right now from your point of view by the use of this paint can. So come on over and look right behind my shoulder. Here's what it should look like. A circular motion from the ball, back and through, just like that. An arc where the club starts at the ball, swings back on an inside path, and then comes back on that same path through, and at the point of impact, the face is square just for a millisecond, then it returns on its inward arc back. Back and through. The face squares right at the bottom of the arc. Now I can use a door wedge to show you what that feeling is as you go back. We'll put the door wedge right at the base of the arc, right where the face should be square to the target. I'll tee up a ball now, right behind it. The feeling you want to have when you hit a golf shot is that feeling of knocking a door wedge under a door. The club swings back, nice and low, around, and then through, driving that door wedge under the door. One thing you would never do if you were to try to drive a door wedge under a door is start from the ball by picking the club up, which is a common fault in golfers. The club has got to start back on a nice inward motion away from the ball. Remember, don't pick it up. And now I'll show you another way to feel that motion of turning back away from the ball in a nice, smooth manner. A smooth takeaway is very essential to having a good golf swing, especially starting the club back. I'm going to use this football to show you what it should really look like, and you'll pick up the feel. Turning back away, handing a football off, is the move that you want to feel as you turn back away from the ball. You can see I'm turning, and I want to hand the football off to that halfback coming through the line. Now, if I turn in too quick here, and I get the ball in close to my body, I'm going to get knocked down. So as I turn back, my body turns, but my arms just kind of swing out a little bit away from my body. I know you'll see that as you watch me turn away and hand a football off. This is the same move that you want to feel in golf, a nice smooth takeaway. And another thing that will illustrate that is by the use of this mop. Now it would be like swinging back a wet mop. Well, that's wet enough. If I were to swing a wet mop back away from the ball and through, I sure couldn't pick it up, which is a common fault, as I showed earlier with the door wedge. But you want to turn and let the weight of the mop swing you around. Starting that backswing is so important. You should feel like you're going to drive a wedge under a door. Hand a football off. Let the weight of the club, just like the weight of a mop, swing you back. And now that we've talked about the takeaway, I'm going to use these pins to actually draw on the face of a club. We're going to learn about swing path and what it should look like. I'm going to draw a happy face on the club. You can see that this little guy is looking right up at the top of the club. And then I'm going to draw a arrow on the toe of the club. It's going to point right out towards the top of the toe. And now, as I address the ball, the little happy guy is right behind the ball. I make my turn back, a football handoff drill, the mop comes around, and the arrow goes right up in the sky and points right over my right shoulder. From this position, the happy face is looking right at me. Now you'll know you're in the wrong position if he's looking down, or if he's looking way over your back shoulder. The correct position is for the arms to be extended away from your body. The happy face is looking right at you and the toe is going over your right shoulder. Now we simply keep turning our shoulder. The happy face goes around, the arrow goes around and points right in the direction of the target. And that puts your wrists in a perfect cock position. This keeps you from trying to mechanically cock the club on the way back. Now let's take a look at it all together. Put the happy face right behind the ball, turn back, football handoff drill to the mop, halfway back, the arrow's pointing right up in the sky, and then around, keep turning to where the arrow is pointing right at the target. And we finish the backswing. Now when you play, you can't be looking at the face of the club. So what I'm going to show you next is how to have the correct feel of your hands as you swing the club back to the top. Feel is very important as we take the club up to the top of our swing. I'm going to use this sledgehammer to show you what it should feel like. You can see that this is a heavy weight. And as I turn back, my hands must set underneath the shaft of the sledgehammer. Just like in golf, as you make your turn away from the ball, the weight turns you back up to the top, and your hands have to set underneath the shaft at the top. Because the club weighs a pound, and you swing it about 80 miles an hour, and that makes it an 80-pound weight. If you don't have good support up here, the centrifugal force on the way down is going to throw that weight out way away from your hands, and you just won't be able to make that swing down and through in the direction of the target. Common faults I see at the top is the wrist goes on around and lays in this position. You can see there's just absolutely no support from this position or from this position. Remember, as you swing back, the weight of the club sets your hands underneath the shaft, and now you're in a position to make that solid swing back and through in the direction of the target. Well, we've covered now the positions of the club on the backswing, and we've also talked about the feel of the backswing, getting it up there so that we're supporting the club at the top. What do we do now to get back and through the ball? Well, we've already talked about that, and that's the feeling of skipping a rock through the ball, letting that motion flow back through the ball in the direction of the target, just like this. Most golfers try to take the club back and through on a straight line, on the same path. But what happens is when they swing back and they try to come back on the same line or the same path, the centrifugal force or the weight of the club, remember the sledgehammer, will throw the club out, away from their body. That causes you to pull across the ball. You're not able to keep that club straight through down the target line to the hole. When you swing the club back, there are two paths. There's a path that goes back nice and straight and around to the top, and then there's an inner path where the hands fall and the club comes inside, in here and then through in the direction of the target. I'm going to use this plate to show you what it should really feel like when you make that correct downswing. Hold the plate out in front of you, grasping it by both hands. Bow to the ball as if you're going to address a golf ball. Now this is what it looks like if you go back and through on the same path. Back and through. And you can see what's happening as I do this. My shoulders are pulling me around to the left. This produces those ugly slices and those pull hooks. Now I'm going to show you the correct feel. The plate swings back, and then there's this inner path. Watch as I rotate the plate, under, and then into the ball. Look at how square that plate is to my target line. Look at how I've made that inside path. Now to show you one more time. Turn back, rotate the plate, and through the ball. This will give you that perfect feel for that inner move into the golf ball and down in the direction of the target. Now one other way for me to show that to you, that power move, that inside move into the golf ball, is by the use of this umbrella. As I address a ball and swing back, this is what it looks like if I go back and through on the same plane. Does this look familiar? The centrifugal force of the umbrella pulls me across. It's a real loss of power when you do this. Now I'll show you what it should look like if it's done correctly. The move will be back and then down. And that's how you feel your way to better golf. Now I'm going to show you what that inside move should feel like and also look like with the use of this diagram drawn on the ground. You can see I have my target line drawn here and also 4 squares, 2 red and 2 green. Here's the perfect feel for the inside out move. The club goes back and then returns from green to green as the face squares and drives the ball towards the target. This is how the club goes back when a person is trying to come back and through on the same swing path. The centrifugal force of the club pulls the club out away from red to red, causing the club to pull across the ball. This produces those big slices and ugly pull hooks. To make the move correctly back and through, you should have the feeling of swinging back and through green to green and on to the direction of the hole. Here's the way that inside out swing should look. Green to green and through to the hole. Don't get caught doing this. Red to red. Now I'm going to show you what it actually looks like down at the ball level. Now most weekend golfers go red to red with their swing. But in playing 11 years on the tour, the touring pros always try to have the feeling of swinging green to green. And remember, this is just a feeling of the inside-out move, swinging green to green. Here's green to green. And here's an ugly red to red. We've talked a lot about the swing going back and through, the arms flowing back, but we really haven't talked about what the body does and what the legs do. The body turns and coils as the club goes back, like a giant car spring embedded within your body. There's a coiling. The back at the top is facing right in the direction of the hole, ready to spring back into the ball, just like this. Watch this coiling motion as I turn away from the ball and through. And now for the legs. The right leg stays nice and firm throughout the swing. It's the foundation that we turn into. You want to stay light on your feet as you swing back away from the ball. The right leg maintains that angle as your body turns and coils. Then as you come into the ball, your weight transfers to the left. The arm pulls as you come down and through the ball. Don't make an excessive move with the legs. Just simply walk towards the hole. Have the feeling of just walking towards the hole. As you come down, just walk towards the hole. I know many of you remember Gary Player when he won the Masters a few years ago. How he hit the shot and was halfway down the fairway before the ball even got to the green. And here are three common faults. The first is called the reverse pivot. And that's where the weight shifts and stays on the inside, but the shoulders never get fully coiled. And so there's a casting back down at the ball. The second is where the knee bows out, the back does turn, but there's no coiling motion. All of the coil has been lost. I call this a spaghetti position because there's no coil and no force ready to come back and through the ball. The last thing I see is the improper use of the legs coming through, and that's a scooping of the ball. The weight never gets over to the left side. It never gets onto that left leg. When you hit the ball correctly, 95% of your weight should be on your left foot at impact. To show you a good drill to practice, if you have trouble getting your weight over to your left leg, tee up a ball. This is called a baseball drill, and you'll see why. Address the ball, pull your left foot back, swing, step, and hit. The release is the unleashing of that stored up energy and power through the ball in the direction of the hole. And to do that, I'm going to show you what it looks like and also what it feels like by the use of this log. I'm going to tee up a ball now just behind this log to show you what it should look like, what the release is all about. Most people, as they swing through the ball, try to hold the club face down the target line. They would come through and hit this log in this position, which is a scoop. The correct feeling you should have is the club coming down into the ball, the face rotates, the power is unleashed, and the toe rolls through, and feel like you're hitting the toe of the club into an imaginary log just out in front of the ball. This is what the release is all about. The club comes down, inside, unleashes its stored up energy, the right hand rolls through, and the toe rolls through as if hitting an imaginary log in front of the ball. And this will produce the correct release. What should that release feel like? I mean, what should it actually feel like as you go down and through the ball? Well, I'm going to use this ping pong paddle. I know you've probably played ping pong, to show you it's that motion of hitting that overhand slammer over the net. The hand comes through and the paddle rolls through, and there's a snapping motion of power to hit that slam. That's the feeling that you should have as you come down and through the ball, just like hitting that ping pong slam. And here's a drill that you can practice at home right where you are. Stand up and open your palms up real wide, just like this. Put your left thumb right in the middle of your right hand and address an imaginary ball. Then turn back slowly, just like the football handoff drill, to where your thumbs are up in the sky. Take them up and point them right around in the direction of the target. Then make your weight shift. We're working on this inside move through, and as your hands come into this position, let the right hand roll over and the thumbs return to a straight up position on the target side. Do this drill over and over to get the correct feeling of the flow of movement back and through the ball, and also the correct release. Just like this. And that'll give you the feeling that you need, making that flow of motion back and through in the direction of the hole. Here are two drills that are going to teach you that perfect inside swing, that perfect release through the ball, and that perfect balance position through impact. The first one is to address the ball, take your stance, the club behind the ball, and then turn with your back to the hole. Now from this position, just make your normal swing, a little short swing back and through in the direction of the hole. Just like this. What this teaches is the inside path. You'll feel that as you come into the ball, your hands will release through, your weight will stay on your left leg, and you'll get that feeling that you need in swinging into the ball. Now the next progression from that is to tee a ball, dress the ball, and drop your right foot back and come up on the toe. This is just another progression. Back and through in the direction of the hole. You can see that as I came back, the club came on the inside. My weight is on my left leg already. The club makes that inside path, and my weight is nicely balanced on my left foot. Now I'll hit one integrating those drills. And I think that one's going right in the hole. Now you don't have to beat balls 3 days a week to get the correct feel for the golf swing. You can do it at home by just taking a club out and making little belt line swings. Toe up, toe up, toe up, toe up. Keep the grip light, let the arms swing, feel that motion back and through. And now let's close by showing you the right finish position. And to do that, I'm just going to hit this ball up on the green and take a nice balanced position. You can see on the follow-through, my weight is over on my left leg. I'm up on my toe. My belt buckle is right at the hole, and I'm in a nice, relaxed position. And we finished the golf swing.
Here is a bonus section on the two types of golf shots. Note that these titles have a yellow background.
There are two basic golf shots. One is the irons and one is the woods. In the irons, we play the ball back in the middle of our stance. And it's very essential to have the two tilts, the tilt at the waist and the tilt of the shoulders, so that as you turn back around your spine, the club will swing back, around and up, and then as you come through, the club will swing down and through the ball, creating a little divot, hitting the ball first and then the turf. Remember, in irons, don't try to scoop the ball up in the air. It's very important to have that ball back in the middle of your stance. Don't get it too far forward, which will cause you to scoop the ball up in the air. One thing that will help you to learn how to make a divot is to use this little string. Take the string and place it just in front of the ball, just like that. Then address the ball, adjust the ball position in the middle of your stance, and then make your swing. You should be able to catch the ball and then pick up the string, making a correct divot. Now here's a scoop. One final note. With the irons, swing at every iron in the same way and let the loft of the club determine the distance that the ball should go. Don't try to help it up in the air. And now let's get into the woods. In the wood, particularly the driver, the ball should be played up off the left heel. A wood shot is a more sweeping shot. We're trying to sweep the ball up in the air. Don't try to lift it. Swing through in a sweeping manner, back and through. Lots of golfers have a very choppy motion when they hit woods, hitting down on the ball. They don't have that sweeping feel back and through the ball. Here's a drill that will really help you to get that feel. Address a ball, imaginary ball, put the club back behind and put it on the ground. From this position, swing up right over your left shoulder. Let me show you that again. This really gives you that sweeping feeling. Club behind, on the ground, sweep through. And that'll give you that power and that distance that you really need. And when you tee up a ball, tee it up so that the equator of the ball or the middle of the ball is equal with the top line of the driver. Now you're in a perfect position to make that driver swing back and through the ball. Remember, with the driver, don't hit at the ball. Don't hit at the ball with any club, especially with the wood. Try to make that swing go through the ball in the direction of the target. One way that you can get that feeling is to tee a ball up and then take a paper cup and place it over the top of the ball, just like that. Now address that ball and think about swinging through the cup, driving the ball down the fairway. Here we go. And that's the way you hit those woods. Let's take a quick review of the three focuses. The golf swing should flow just like skipping a rock on a lake. A flow of motion back and through in the direction of a target. But it is also essential to learn the correct positions of the golf swing in order to develop the feel needed to produce the desired golf shots. The heartbeat of the golf swing is the golf grip. Placing the hands on the club correctly is critical. The hands must be balanced. We gain that feel by gripping a yardstick. The yardstick makes our hands face each other and work together as a unit. The left hand is the stabilizing hand, and the club is placed diagonally across the hand, and the hand rolls over on top of the club. Be sure to have the pad on top of the club, and feel the club squeeze between the pad and the last couple fingers of the left hand. As you look down on your left hand, the V of your thumb and forefinger should be pointing approximately towards your right shoulder. You should also see two knuckles. The right hand is placed in the fingers, and they stay together and slide up tightly against the left. The thumb of the left hand fits in the little pocket just below the lifeline of the right hand, and the right hand rolls over on top. The V of the right hand points approximately in the same direction as the V of the left. And be sure you feel an even grip pressure with both hands. Feel the weight of the club resting down in your fingers. Now for our second focus, the setup. As you take your stance, be sure you feel the weight evenly distributed on both legs and towards the balls of your feet, with your knees slightly flexed. Bow to the ball from the waist and be sure to keep your chin up. The back remains fairly straight, and as you stick out the back of your lap, feel that cup in your lower back. Now we're in a ready position to make that smooth, fluid swing. The third focus is preceded by a waggle, which is a tiny practice swing used to keep you relaxed, and it sets up the feel needed for a smooth, correct backswing. Remember, the swing is a circular turning motion around a fixed axis, your spine. As you swing the club back, have the feeling as if you're going to drive a wedge under a door. The shoulders turn and the arms extend back away from you as if you're handing off a football. And feel the weight of the club swing you around, just as if you're swinging a wet mop. At the halfway point, the toe of the club is up. And as you continue turning to the top, you should have the feeling of swinging a heavy sledgehammer with your hands underneath the shaft supporting the weight. The body coils around the spine, and feel the right leg maintaining its firm position as it supports the coiling motion of the body. Now we're ready to swing through the ball, and the overall feeling is that of skipping a rock. The weight shifts, the left arm pulls, and you skip a rock right through the ball. Feeling the inside path is critical, and we gain that feeling by rotating a plate and blowing an umbrella out. As you swing through the ball, the feeling is green to green, with the right hand squaring the club face as if you were hitting an overhand ping pong shot. It's the same feeling you would have if you were to roll the toe of the club into an imaginary log placed a few feet in front of the ball. The swing then finishes into a nice, well-balanced position up on the toe. Feel the flow of motion as we tie it all together. Well, that finishes the golf swing. Remember to take this tape out and watch it over and over again. Break it down into sections and take those props out. Get the feel for the golf swing. And also work on those drills and feel your way to better golf.